Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen, dear comrades. Here is comrade-Sirius, and I'm here to talk about HUSÁK challenge. You can sit down and listen, because this is the challenge that's unlike every other else. It emerged from the need of playing the game a little bit differently, to have some story, to have some scenario, and yes, while I am aware they are coming into game, it's definitely not enough for now, because this is aimed at the players that already know the game. They do not need training, they do not need other things. They just want to have fun, and they need more. So, welcome to the HUSÁK challenge, and let's go through rules, through the story, and all over this. And well, while this challenge has 10 rules, here we'll go through the list of them. Rule number 1, it's a hard map. If you take a look at here, this is one of those maps that the challenge is aimed at, and generally they fall into category of hard maps. You can see this is the map of northern Canada, and it has basically two big customs, Soviet one and NATO one. And then there are two really small, one of them like here, that are really not useful for a good start, like here on the Deer Isle. And I believe there's some like here. I have really no idea. Is it the Eagle Point maybe? Or well, I think there is someone here, some here, but I do not see it. Maybe it's not. Who cares? Yeah, it's here. It's on this edge. And it is the Eagle Point, I think. Yeah. So this is the type of map you're looking at. Not general maps that you have abundant, amount of customs and such thing. And the same goes for resources. Like, yes, there's a lot of bauxite here, but keep in mind that you need to start here. And this bauxite is on a really steep hill, like this thing, like this. If you switch on F2, you kinda know what I'm talking about. This is the same thing like there. You see? There's a coal mine. Here is another one, and yes, there's a lot of coal in this area, but in general, it is all in the mountains, so yeah, good luck with that. It's definitely not something that would make you overpowered or something like that. You need to, the same goes for iron. This map is specifically well about it because iron is really far away. Like you can see across the whole map. Yeah, like this is the Iron Mountains. If you're dwarves, it's okay, but we do not have dwarves in this game, so yeah. The same goes for oil. It's a lot of sources, some of them on the water, but yeah, it's long, it's far away, and the best place is right here at the other side of the map. And the same goes for uranium, or not that big of places, quite far, some of them even underwater. Like this is not an island, this is water, like somewhere here at the rock bottom. So that's about the map. Another thing is here in the settings, as you can see, this is the settings you are the only settings you are allowed to play with. It's about everything on hard, everything enabled, and everything on, like, moving sun, waste demolition, day-night cycle. Yes, you will need to play with nights because it increases the difficulty a bit. If you do not like playing with nights, and if you like to stream the game, there's a really good guide from Charlie Pyre that helps you increase the brightness of the night. You can have like full moon nights all the time. They look really great, and I really love it. The same goes for everything else, like pollution, vehicles availability, lock according to year. If you like retro vehicles, if you like a lot of them, yeah, you can log start according to here, but this is better. But I'll allow, you know, some of us are like to playing, you know, slower games and such. Well, no problem, you can have it. The same goes, like, you know, for education, crime justice, traffic simulation, realistic mode, especially realistic mode on. And that is the way this challenge has started, because every other challenges in this game, they just fell apart because they came on before realistic mode was ever enabled. And of course, researches, you need to have researches on. Rule number 3, that's homemade best made, that's how it's called. And it's basically about that anything you export, anything exported needs to be 100% made in your republic and from your own sources and resources. That includes workforce. The only exception is obviously fuel for vehicles. Fuel for vehicles exporting that stuff, because yeah, you cannot start making your own fuel right away. And of course, electricity. You can buy electricity in any amount throughout the whole game. That's up to you. These are the only 2 things that are allowed. And anything else, if you want to export anything else, you need to manufacture it. It's easier with grain, like yeah, you produce your own grain, but keep in mind that it's still about, you know, fertilizer. Your own fertilizer. If you do not have your own fully homemade fertilizer, you cannot export those crops. You can grow crops without fertilization. It just doesn't provide that big of a yield. And the same goes for trash. If you have people, if you have your own people, and they obviously consume things like imported clothing and such things, it's okay, their trash you can deliver to customs. However, if you will decide to import some waste, be it construction or hazardous waste that you want to burn or things like that, it is a way, you can do it. You can obtain a steel this way, for example, for your construction, and you can use such steel and construction materials in your manufacturing and constructions. But you are not allowed to export such things, be it the material itself or anything that goes from it, anything that you will make for it. So yes, if you decide to go on the import hazardous waste, you can, and you probably will, and with a lot of aluminum scrap that you can do shit with it, because it's of no use to starting Republic. It's good only for aircrafts, and you cannot export it, you're not allowed. So yes, you will need to store it somewhere if you go with this way. So keep this in mind. You can of course import materials for your manufacturing, like if you would like to make your own prefabs, and we'll get to it in the next point. If you want to build your own prefabs, you will need to make prefabs and cement plant. It's quite expensive, so you can import cement to make your own prefabs, but such made prefabs, because they are coming from imported cement, such made prefabs you cannot export. So after you get your own cement plant, because ultimately you will need all of those materials to be of your making, then it is okay to export. But till that point, and everything not made from your resources 100%, you are not allowed to export. That's it, including fertilizers, including waste, everything. Well, we've been talking, point number 4, we've been talking about prefab panels. Point number 4, rule number 4 is called panel story, based on the movie in Czechoslovakia. This is quite easy. You are not allowed to, in original challenges you were not allowed to import prefabs. Now it's not possible because you need them for waste collection stands and things like this, as you can see now on the video. this needs a little bit of prefabs, and some kindergartens as well. So yes, you are now allowed to import prefabs, but you are limited to 1 free storage per year. Nothing more. There's no way to get more. So it's 85 tons. It's quite a lot. So just, you know, set up a line at the beginning of the year and you can import it any way you like. And that's it. You have your own you have enough prefabs to construct all these needs. But yes, as I've been talking, you will need to build your own research and build your own prefab plants, and then it will be okay to do anything you want with it. Because there's no other way to import more prefabs than this little limited amount. Well, point number 5 and rule number 5 is pride of socialist engineering, and that is, you know, what do you see on the screen? That's a train. And yes, you cannot buy from any border, any customs, you cannot buy any train, any plane or any ship. You need to be able to make them. You cannot buy any vehicles throughout the whole game of this sort. You can only buy road vehicles and of course the disassembled rail construction crane. That's the only thing you are allowed to buy. So no EC300 like you can see, like you see above. That's not a good way for you. Well, you can, of course, you do not need to manufacture it solely from your resources. You can import stuff for it, but you need to make them. The party decided that you are capable enough of doing it, so you need to manufacture them. You need to obtain blueprints and then make them. Once you are making vehicles, and if you're making them solely from your resources, feel free to sell them. That's it. But till that point, you need to manufacture them, and any wagon, any even trams, you need to manufacture. The only exception is trolleybus. It's technically a rail vehicle. It's rail combined. So yeah, trolleybus is okay. Trams are not, because trams drive on rails. And of course you can buy cabins for cableways, which is alright. Just feel free to do so. Rule number 6 is 5 years plan. If you're playing and you're cosplaying communist regime, so here we come. At the beginning of each 5 years, so starting on 1960 and till 1964, you are basically deciding and ideally publicly announcing, if you're recording the session, which 2 businesses are you going to start in this 5 years. Obviously, if you're playing solo, it's up to you. What I personally recommend is just having customs here. You can just place a free storage like here, and because you have unlimited of them, just place it and you go like 1960, 1964. I will start producing 2 exportable goods, no raw resources, exportable goods. So like, for example, gravel plus boards. If you will make it, that's great. If you will start, for example, if you will finish gravel processing plant, you go like, yeah, that's great. You just will name it like, you know, 1962 gravel plant, and you have it recorded. Once you will finish your session, the whole game, the whole challenge, if you will be successful, that's great. And you can send in your save. I will be really glad if I can look at it. And these numbers, these years of establishing, they will be great to reconstruct what has happened alongside your story, and it will help your story as well. Because, you know, the goal, I haven't told it yet, but the goal of this challenge ends when you fulfill all 40 export goals. It's basically every resource that is here and is sellable, except waste, and except those things that you cannot sell, like concrete and asphalt. You cannot, and you do not have vehicles here. Yes, you can export vehicles if you are making them solely from your resources. We already established that. Exact numbers of how much of every resource is needed to export is listed below the video, and is also listed as a nice table next to the challenge on Steam. Feel free to check it any way you want, and if you decide to play, yeah, you can print it or right next to your computer, because yeah, it's 40 lines of stuff. You do not need to remember it by your head. I do not either. Well, rule number 7, we're getting close. Rule number 7 is inspiring motherland. It's called like this, and it is sort of vanilla only. The key here is the sort of, the little star that's in the text. It's about, you know, you can use mods, but 2 rules. First, use every building from that category. If we're talking buildings, use every building from the vanilla game of the category, at least one, before you start using mods. So for example, for, you know, for food, yes, there are some, you know, large farms and things, and as well as for, you know, for the clothing, yeah, there are great fabric factories from ropes, for example, and so on. But build at least one vanilla before you go. The additional rule about modded buildings is that they need to have same ratios per worker, because, and it goes as well for, you know, kindergartens and such. For living quarters, it's similar if you will go for, you know, residential buildings, and you will go for big prefabs, like, you know, these you build at least all the prefabs that are in the game at least once before you resort to mods. It's nice to do because creators are making their best to bring in variability, so we do not need to resort to modded buildings, and they are quite nice, so, well, just do so. With vehicles, it's similar. You can buy modded vehicles. There is no need to buy every vehicle, or at least one vehicle from every category before you can use mods. In vehicles, there's just one thing. Yes, you can use your national vehicles, but they need to be okay in the range of prices. Like I have some, you know, for example, ambulances. There are no workshop. It's a bad thing. But buses, maybe, yeah. You can see there's a lot of buses here, and yes, these are perfectly alright. Like you can see, yeah, van for 10 people cost more than van for these guys, and you know, don't mind the tanks, it's just from mod collection. But like this thing, there's a bus for 150 passengers, 100 kilometers per hour. I'm not sure if I would be doing, because yeah, you have this one for 34,000, 70 km speed, 128 passengers for 34,000. This is slightly more, but 100 kilometers. I don't think I would recommend this mod, even if it's sort of okay, but this is a city bus, and city buses do not go 100 kilometers per hour. So this is about the mods that are or are not allowed. This is the way to go. Be real about it. It's nice if you can, you know, under the general ratios of factories, general parameters of vehicles, like, you know, some nuclear bulldozers and things like that. It's like not ideal, and please do not go for it. This is meant to be as close as vanilla as possible with options of mods. so it's nice and maybe closer to our nation, but hey, no experiments. With factories it also goes down that you're not allowed to go for any smaller, for like really small tiny manufacturing plants. That's ridiculous. They are usually ridiculous. They even have probably better or lower, worse, we can say, manufacturing ratios, but it's not working. And of course there are strict bans on not only unrealistic vehicles, but also ban on not existing chains. Like there is a biofuel plant that manufactures fuel from crops in workshop and things like these. The same goes for combined plants. You do not use these. They do not belong to the core mechanics of the game, so do not use it. And of course, vanilla customs, no, the not improved ones. Well, the next thing, that's point number 8, it's called University of 17th November. That has been an institution that imported foreign students, and yeah, they have been educated in Czechoslovakia in communist times, but it didn't go that well, and so it was, kind of scrapped after like 15 years, I think. Well, here it is. It just provides some, immigration points. You start with 1500 for the first year. You start importing citizens. Doesn't need to be 1960, but you have 1500 immigration points for first year, and then your own clerks are able to provide only 300 immigration points per year. They can only, check in so much persons, and if they will have a lot of in the bank, they will just stop working. That's what usual people do at work if they feel like it's not needed anymore. What are these immigration points? It has been in multiple challenges. I really like the concept, so I borrowed it. They make you able to invite foreign people, and you pay for workers. So if you just go to any building, you can see here are immigrants from the third world, immigrants from Soviet bloc, and expert immigrants. For basic non-educated worker, you pay 1 immigration point. For immigrant from Soviet bloc, the standard worker, you pay 3 points, and you pay 6 points for an expert. 6 is quite a lot, but you do not need that many of them. Yes, you will probably need your university very, very soon, otherwise your republic will go broke on both immigration points and money. And yes, you're not allowed to play with loans, I already told that, so you need to be aware. You need to be aware a lot of things. Also, these immigration points, you need to be aware of, great catastrophes like, pollution, dying out the whole republic due to lack of heating in the winter and things like this. You need to be able to perform, because otherwise your tribe will not end successfully on almost 100%. Because inviting people after year number 1 is a lengthy process, and I wouldn't like to do it. I would just reload the save and try another time if there will be time to save it. That's for immigration points, and that's all for the basic 8 rules. Now goes to bonus one. Well, here goes the bonus rule. Bonus rule number 9, or the first bonus rule, but general rule number 9 is, money reform. Communist party in Czechoslovakia in 1953, they made money reform. In our republic, it hadn't happened. What it was, you basically stole money from your people, because they converted their money like up to 50 to 1, depending on what they had in bank and such. And they just, wiped their loans with it. You can do sort of this thing. If you will go here, you're not allowed loans, I already told it, but once per game you can perform the money reform. So basically you go full 5 years and you just pick money, the hard starting money here, which is 1400,000, 1.4 million of rubles. And if your budget goes really down, and you can just resort to this as a last resort. You just click borrow, and then that is that. The thing is, you cannot. It's not a loan. You should not treat it as a loan. So you cannot, prolong it. You cannot refinance it. You cannot pay it earlier. You just need to let it run till it's out or till you are out, both of which is possible. If you then run out of finances, your game basically ends. If you are not able to recover anywhere else, and this bonus rule will kind of cost you the best possible reward, but yeah, you can still do it. And if you survive the challenge otherwise and you just use money reform, you're the same as Communist Party in Czechoslovakia. So don't feel afraid to use it if that would mean for any reason to halt your overall progress. But remember, you can do it only once per the whole challenge. If you would need it to do second time, your game instantly ends and you need to start again or reload previous save. You're not allowed to borrow more or you do any more money reforms. And the second rule, the 10th rule and the second bonus rule, is what's called perestroika. It's a reform that you are allowed to admit some mistakes made. So it's basically, if you are not able to fulfill one of those 5 years plans, that's perfectly alright. You can just admit it. You will use this as a bonus rule and, well, okay, you will survive. If you will fail a 5-year plan or similar thing for the second time, you can do it and you can survive it if it's not the second, if it's not in 2 consecutive years. So basically, you can fail once, then have a perfect year, and then in the perfect 5-year plan, and in the third one you can fail again. I don't recommend, but okay. If you do so, we already established the customs, like the warehouses here. If you will, like the gravel and boards, and I would fail to get gravel or to fail to get boards, I will just leave it here, and in 1964 I will just write no boards, and that's it. It will need to stay here, and for the next 5-year plan I would just pick the second one, place it here, and yes, you can move them around if you really need, like press it here, and then you would start just the next, so 1964, and for example you would want to make prefabs and wood, maybe, because crops is not allowed. Crops are raw materials, same as iron ore, quarried stone, things like this. So you would have this, and this would stay as a reminder for the end of the time. You can have only 2 failed. So if you would fail twice, then on the next 5 year you would need to have this thing here. Like for example, now you would have no prefabs because you wouldn't be able to make them. So, well, this would fail you as well because it's 2 consecutive 5 years, but you know what I mean. Here you would have the third one. Don't be afraid that you would have too many of here, because there's no way you can survive 3 things. No perestroika can save you. If you have so much problems as Soviet had in real time in 1980s, you won't survive, and your government will be replaced, and you're going to Gulag. And so obviously your rule and control over the Republic ends. The Republic will survive, but it will survive without you. That's about rules. The next comes out video about the storyline, and it also results in additional rules, but we'll save it for another video. So yeah, have fun, and maybe try it if you're good experienced player enough. Let me know. Bye bye.